Hi Maniacs! Today I wanted to share something a bit different than I usually do on this channel. I wanted to show you a PSA return that I have just received. The card that I want to show you guys that I have gotten back from PSA is kind of a special one to me. It came from the first heavy base set pack I ever opened, at least that I can remember, because I probably did open some as a child, but nothing that I can really recall. All I know is that I do have base set cards in my childhood collection, which I luckily still have. I know that most people don't. So this was kind of special for me to actually get to open a heavy base set booster and actually pull something that I really wanted to grade. I'll show you the video of me actually ripping the pack and you can see it on the screen. And it was kind of a weird scenario because we were a couple of friends in the community who all purchased these packs, and we weren't really sure, after opening them at least, if they had actually been resealed. So that's kind of a whole ordeal. The thing is that we all got, hits. They were all holographic, like they are supposed to be, so to speak, like they are supposed to be in a base set heavy pack. But the condition of the cards might not have been that perfect. We're not really sure that any of them can hit a 10. And the thing that really tipped us off was the thing that the cards weren't really placed in the packs how they are supposed to be or how they usually are. I do think the normal card trick with base set packs is that you take 3 cards to the front and that will have you have the holographic or at least the rare card in the back of the pack. As you will be able to see in my video, I really just, pulled the pack as it came, because I wouldn't really want to mess anything up or scratch any surfaces or anything if I did a card trick or did it either wrong or were, misplacing the cards or anything. So that's kind of the story behind this kind of weird pull. But as you might be able to tell, I was pretty lucky and I got to actually pull the holographic Chansey. So a base set Chansey is a pretty good hit, I would say. It's up there. Of course, it's not a Charizard, but I would say it's one of the most wanted cards that are, at least in the base set. So even though I'm unsure of the results, I send it off to grading. And I do want to kind of note that I use a grading service because I am not really able to submit to PSA myself, at least not yet, maybe one day. But for now I'm using a grading service here in Denmark that then ships off larger amounts to PSA, which is also why this looks kind of weird. It's, been repackaged after coming to Denmark. I have not seen the grade. I've not been opening the card yet, so I do not know what grade we have in here. Of course, I'm hoping for a 10, but I do think that if we are unlucky, we get an 8, and if we are lucky, it might be, 9, 10. Because it is a bit off-centered, and I'm not sure, maybe something on the corners, but considering the card is 30 years old, it's actually in pretty good condition. So yeah, if you are finding the packaging weird, I'll just want to let you know that so am I. I kind of find it weird. Of course, the box is pretty decent, but I don't understand the duct tape being the solution. Of course, I took off the label that had my name and everything on it, but otherwise it came exactly like this. So, very exciting. I think we should dig in and see if we got lucky or not so lucky. And just a side note, this was submitted on Value Plus, and I think it has been on its way for about 2 months. So kind of quick. I did rip the pack back in August, and then I was kind of lazy in terms of sending it off, and I did submit it as the only card. I do have another submission that's going in right now, but for now this is what I have. The single card coming back to us is the Chansey. Okay, I'm not sure if we will be able to see it right away. Okay, no. They usually package it up pretty well so you can't see. Okay, I couldn't see anything through the plastic, so we'll have to wait until I turn it around. But yeah, I do think the whole process of submitting is fun. Oh, that's a lie. I don't think the process of submitting is fun. I think the process of having returns is fun. And I think a lot of people in the community would agree with that statement. I still think the card looks pretty decent, at least on the back. It's kind of hard to tell. It has a bit of dust specks, but the corners, yeah, I do think the corner down here and the corner up there might tip us down to an 8. I'm not sure if you're able to see this slight dot. And that's basically where they cut the cards apart from each other. So that's pretty normal, I would say. But anyways, okay. I think I'm covering the grade. And the card looks very nice. As you can tell, there is definitely something with the centering. I've heard that they sometimes are a bit more nice or large when it comes to vintage cards, but I really am unsure about this one. So I do hope that we land a 9. I would hope for a 10. You know, getting a 9 doesn't really mean much on this card, but it's still cool, you know, grading it yourself, pulling it yourself and everything. Okay, deep breaths. Let's reveal it.
Oh.
A 7? Are you serious? Really? I mean, I know the centering is off. It also kind of looks worse on camera, I would say. Of course, I'm not in denial. I know this card is off-centered. That was kind of my biggest thing with it. But there was like nothing on the surface. Like either front side or back side. No scratches at all in the holo. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. A 7? Really? I have an old card like from my childhood collection that I mentioned earlier. Of course, the card isn't as old because it was like, I think, is it Diamond and Pearl era? I think it's the Empoleon level X. Excuse my bad memory of the eras. And that's a 6. And that's like a childhood card, you know, that it has whitening. It's a card that I used to play with as a child. And that has a 6. So I'm kind of impressed that this only got a 7. I thought, you know, maybe they'll give us an 8 because it is decently off-centered and maybe there was a thing about the corners or two, but I do think a 7 is rough. I don't really understand why. It would actually be nicer just to display this without the slab when the grade is what it is. I do think, however, that this might confirm the theory of the packs being resealed in terms of if there are anything that I haven't been able to see with like my bare eyes in terms of surface scratching or anything like that. And also if the people who have been resealing, which I would think is what you're in the business for, is that you'll pull out, you know, the best pulls, that being, of course, Charizards, but also PSA 10 candidates, Blastoise, Chansey, Venusaur. I guess that would make sense, right? But anyway, that was disappointing and kind of a waste of money, I will say. I was hoping to get this up there and also having maybe a more fun memory than the possible reseal as well as the PSA 7 on a freshly pulled card. Well, it is what it is. Thank you for joining me on this journey. It's been kind of interesting. I'll probably update you guys more next time I get a PSA return, but for now, that's kind of what I had for you. I will be live in 2 days. I think it will be when this video goes up. And I have a sponsored stream where you guys will be able to get extremely cheap Paldea Evolved packs. So yeah, check the details on my Instagram. That's where I'll be promoting. Also on TikTok and on Twitch, of course, where I will be live breaking some Paldea Evolved with you guys, hopefully. So check that out. Make sure that you check my links in the description. And please subscribe, like the video, and ring the bell notification. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.